Bezos Hashem, today's daf is daf mem tes in Masechet Nedarim, and we're beginning from top of the page by the Mishnah of the new parak of the sixth parak, Hanoider min hamavushal. The Mishnah begins, Hanoider min hamavushal. Someone who makes a neder, he's not going to eat cooked foods. So cooked foods means actually cooked in a pot or something like that. So mutter, that person is permitted to eat bitzali, a roasted food, okay. Uvashaluk, or something that's not cooked, is very lightly cooked, or it's overcooked. That's what it means. Hi, Mayor. We just began.
Hi, Baruch.
Okay, we just began. So we'll start the parak, and the parak says that if someone makes a neder not to eat a cooked food, so he's permitted to eat a roasted food or a semi-cooked food, a quasi-cooked food. But Omar, if he said, koinem tafshil she'eni toyem, he says, I make a neder that I'm not going to eat any hot dish. Tafshil is like, I'm understanding it as a hot dish. So a hot dish could mean even a roasted dish or something like that, or cooked or quasi-cooked. So if he said a hot dish, also, he's not permitted to eat also b'maisa kedera rach. He's not permitted to eat a soft porridge. Umuter ba'aveh, and he's permitted to eat a thick porridge, something that has thick consistency. Hi, Louis. We just began the daf. We're talking about different nedarim that people make. So a person who said he makes a neder, he's not eating a hot dish. So then he's also to eat consistency. He's also to eat He's also to eat a loose consistency dish, and he's mutter to eat a thick dish. Now, why? If it's a hot dish, it shouldn't matter whether it's loose or thick consistency. So the Gemara is going to speak about that in a moment. Umutter. And he's permitted to eat bebeitza turmuta over the last mutza. Again, a guy said, hi, Sheldon, we just began. A guy said, I make a neder, I'm not eating a hot dish. So anything that's somewhat cooked. So he is permitted to eat this, he's also to eat any hot dish, but he's permitted to eat this egg that's turmita egg. That's not even cooked egg, but it's like dropped into hot water and then dropped into a cold water 1,000 times. And for some reason, this was eating that egg had medicinal benefits. So therefore, he's permitted to eat the egg turmita over the last hermutza, a bitter gourd that's, you put it into something ash. We'll read about that in the Gemara. Next part of the Mishnah says, Hanoider mimasa kedera. A person said, I make a neder, I'm not going to eat from anything that's cooked in a pot. So ein aser ela b'maseh rasachta. He's only aser with something that's actually cooked for a long period of time in a pot, right? What about bagels or donuts where you just drop it a little bit into the pot and then you bake it or something like that? So that's not enough. It's not cooked. Amar, but if he said koinim hayored lekdera she'enu toyim, he said, I make a neder, that anything that's dropped into a pot, not that you cook it in a pot, but it's dropped into a pot for a long time. So it could be you drop it in and then you bake it. So then asa b'chol hamispashlin b'kedera. Then you become aser to eat anything that's cooked or has any moment that it's cooked in a pot, even if that's not the final process. Tanya, we learned at a brayso. The beginning of the Mishnah said, a guy said, I make a neder that I'm not going to eat cooked food. So he's permitted to eat a roasted food or a quasi-cooked food. So Tanya, we learned that Rabbi Yoshi said that you're not permitted to eat a roasted food. He said, I'm not going to eat cooked food. Rabbi Yoshi says you're not allowed to eat the cooked food, roasted food. But I can't prove it. It's mentioned somewhere that in the Tanakh, it refers to roasting something as cooking something. Shenema, the pasuk says, "Vayibashlu haPesach be'eis kamishpat," that he cooked the carbon Pesach with fire, the way it's done according to the dinim. So we see Now, the Korban Pesach is roasted, and yet the Tanakh calls it cooking. So according to Rabbi Yoshi, if you say, I make a neder, I'm not going to eat anything mavushal, it also prohibits you to eat something roasted. So that's Rabbi Yoshi. Our Mishnah holds you're permitted to eat something that's roasted because cooking is not roasting. Roasting is not cooking. So the Gemara says, Lema b'hokami palgi, let us say that the machlekes between Rabbi Yoshi and the Chachamim in our Mishnah is the following. This is the reasoning behind their arguments. The Rabbi Yoshi Savar, Rabbi Yoshi holds when a person says a word, a vocabulary word, how do you define it? So halach achal l'shoin haTorah. You go after how the Torah defines it. And since we find in the Torah cooking is also synonymous with roasting, so that's why when a person says mavushal, he also means roasting. But Tana Didan Sava, now Tana holds bin nedarim, but when it comes to a neder, when you want to define something that somebody made in a neder, halach achal l'shem b'nei adam. Then you look up the Webster's dictionary and how do people use it? And when people talk, they use cooking as cooking and roasting as roasting, and they don't mix the two into the same word. So that would that be the machlekes? So the Gemara says, "Lie, that's not the machlekes." Why? The Kuli Alma, everybody holds bin nedarim when it comes to neder halach achal l'shem b'nei adam. You look at the vocabulary that people use, because a neder is something that you put upon yourself. So you're the one that's initiating and creating this prohibition. So therefore, what vocabulary is going to decide what you meant? What normal people speak, not the Torah's way of using the language. But the difference between Rabbi Ashia and the Tana of our Mishnah, Marki Asrei, each one went according to his the way where he lived. And this one went where he lived. Ba'asra the Tana Dilam, in the city of our Tana of our Mishnah, L'tzali korelei tzali, l'mavushal korelei mavushal. For roasting, they call roasting, and for cooking, they call cooking, so they don't mix the words up. So therefore, when somebody says, I'm usher on something mavushal, he does not mean roasted food. Ba'asra Rabbi Yoshia, but in the city of Rabbi Yoshia, afil tzali korei mavushal. Even roasted is sometimes called mavushal. And therefore, they called in the city of Rabbi Yoshia, when somebody said, give me something cooked, it could also mean a roasted piece, even though he said the word cooking. So the Gemara says, but then Rabbi Yoshia use a pasuk. So doesn't it mean that Rabbi Yoshia is deciding what the vocabulary word is how the Torah defines it? And says the Gemara, asmachta ba'alma. It's just a hint, a remez to it, that even in the Torah's language, it's not absolute, that cooking means only cooking. Because you find in the Torah that sometimes cooking could mean roasting as well. So, but that's not, but most of the time, 90% of the time, when the Torah says cooking, it only means cooking. It's not used interchangeable with roasting. Yet, in the city of Rabbi Yoshia, when you said the word cooking, it also meant roasting. And that's why Rabbi Yoshia said, where I live, if someone says, I'm usher, I'm mavushal, he also means I'm usher to eat something roasted. And we find that in America too, because, if the way we say things in New York is not the same way, the same word will have the same meaning in the Midwest. So it depends. Anyway, so we go back to the Mishnah. The Mishnah said, Koinim tafshil. A guy said, I promise I'm not eating a hot dish. So then the Mishnah says that he can't eat anything that has a loose consistency, but he's permitted to eat something that has a thick consistency. Now the question is why? He said hot dish should mean everything. That's the Gemara's question. He made a neder not to eat any hot dish. Why is there a difference between loose consistency and thick consistency? So the Gemara answers, Amar Abai said, Hi Tana, what he meant, a hot dish, means a hot dish that is used you eat it together with bread. Either you put it on the bread and you eat it together. In the place where our Tana learned, he ate anything that is eaten with bread, that's called a hot dish. And therefore, usually they ate things that had soft consistency with hot dishes, with the bread, and that's what's usher. But something that's thick and is eaten independently of bread is not called a tafshil. Like yeshiva. Yeshiva, you try to eat everything with bread, but anything soft with bread. So that's what it means. And therefore, if someone says kainim tafshil, he's permitted to eat something of thick consistency, but not in loose. But Tanya, we learned in the Brisa, hanoidim in a tafshil, someone makes a neder, I'm not eating cooked, a hot dish. Also, b'chol mine tafshil. He's also anything that's hot. But also, but sali, even if it's roasted, uva shalok, or quasi cooked, uva mavushal cooked just perfect. V'aser behidroitis rakos. Now here, this hitrios is called, we call this a deluim katanim. It's like a zucchini that's small zucchinis, right? A gourds that's small. So he's also to eat that's soft. Why is he also to eat these soft? Because people who are sick will eat this zucchini or this gourd with their bread. And that's the key. When you say tafshil, you only meet foods, hot dishes that are eaten together with bread. So that really should end the Gemara over here. But now, for the rest of the page, the Gemara goes that you just made a statement, and we're going to challenge that statement. You said that gourd, zucchini, cucumbers, any squash, anything in that, pumpkins even, in that family is good for somebody that's sick. So the Gemara says, Eini, it's not good. That's not true. But Rabbi Yirmiyah chalash, Rabbi Yirmiyah got sick. This doctor came to heal him. Chazakara, he saw this gourd, the machas bevesa. He saw Rabbi Yirmiyah had a gourd on the table, right? So the doctor got so upset. It's like having a cigarette on the table. Shavkev and a fuck. The doctor got upset and ran out of and didn't want to heal Rabbi Yirmiyah. He said, Amar. He said, Malach Moise Islein Ledein Bevesa. This Rabbi Yirmiyah brings the Malach Hamovis into his house. He's bringing in kara, a gourd, a squash, a zucchini, and that's unhealthy food. And I should go and heal him. He himself is not careful about his health. So how can you say gourds are good for you when this story proves that it's not good for you? Answers the Gemara like Kasha, it's not difficult. Ha barakibe. When it's soft, it's good for you. Ha ba'ashune. When it's hard, it's bad for you. Again, zucchini it can shield from diseases and has antioxidants and benefits the heart. It has a lot of benefits for it, but it depends if it's a soft version or a hard version, which is very unhealthy. And that's why the doctor saw the hard version over there, and he said that if you have that in your house, I'm leaving. Rabbi Ba'ula gives another answer. When is good? When is it bad for you? Bekara gufa, the gourd itself. I guess it means the peel or the outside of it. But not vaha. When is it good for you? Begabei dekara, the inside of the gourd is good for you. Like if you eat the outside of the pumpkin is not good for you, but the inside is good for you. And that's the difference to understand between the story of Rabbi Yirmiyah. He probably saw the outside of the gourd there, and therefore he ran out. Dam Rabbi Yehuda, but Rabbi Yehuda said luliva the kara. Luliva, it means the inside of the gourd. Okay, basilka, if you eat it with chard, which is like a leafy type of green vegetable. Maybe, but you eat the white parts. Very good for you. So he's giving you good things for health. Luliva de kisana. If you eat the inside of flax, bekuscha with kefir. Kuska is like a milky dish that's used as a dip, made with milk and breadcrumbs. But we if you can look it up, because we discussed this today, I believe it's kefir, what they sell in the health food stores. It's like a probiotic, and it has very good for your intestines, and it has a lot of nutrients to it. So he's saying these are great foods. Rabbi Yehuda is telling you these are great foods for your health. The dove is also but don't tell somebody who doesn't learn Torah about these things. So the question is, why not? Why can't if it's a health advice and you're telling nutritional advice to somebody and what are superfoods, why not tell an Amarit, somebody that's not learning? So Rashi has this strange comment. It's not Rashi, but the Mefarish says, because mishum dedava mu'ula hu refuah, it's good for health. But also, you can't tell an Am Aretz that something that they can benefit from. Probably is what he means by Tosfos says that these Amaratzim would always make fun of things in the Talmud. So if you told them in the Talmud, the Talmud is not talking, is telling you something that's nothing to do with learning, so they'll make fun of the Talmud. And others say, which could be that if you tell them to eat flax, they may become a shortage of flax if you tell these Amaratzim. They may take it to the nth degree. And others say, Stamazai, we just learned that the outer portion, the hard part of the gourd, is not good for you, and the inside is good. And Amaretz, it's actually the outside is dangerous for you. So if you tell an Amaretz, he's going to eat the outside part, and that's dangerous for him. So we don't give these type of instructions to somebody who's an Amaretz. Only somebody who comes to a Daf Yomi and learns about it. Rava says like this: you told me that yes, for sick people, you're right. I'll grant you a gourd, squash, cucumber, zucchini is not good for a sick person, like the story of Rabbi Yirmiyah. But when we said that sick people would eat gourds, it doesn't mean sick people. It means rabbis. And we call rabbis sick because they're weak people. So choilin, it doesn't mean somebody who actually has a disease. It means somebody who is very weak, because rabbis, Talmidei Chachamim, work very hard in learning. They're sitting all day, and their bones are, their muscles are flaxy. So that's what it means. Rava goes according to his reasoning, that he showed that sometimes the word choilin could also mean a rabbi. The Amar Rava said, we go to Amud Beis, Kaman Matzlinan. Who do we daven Shemoneh Esrei? Now, we know that Rosh Hashanah is everything is declared for you. So why do I have to daven Shemoneh Esrei? God, give me health. God, grant me parnasa. It's already declared on Rosh Hashanah. So we daven according to Rabbi Yossi, who said that a person gets judged every day. And we daven for Kitzirei, people who are sick. We daven Roifei Choilei Am Yisrael. God heals the sick of the Jewish people. Ba'al Meri'eh means people who are also shvach, weak. They just don't have the energy. And that's somebody who's exhausted, fatigued. That refers to people who are learning, Pleita Sefreya. So we pray for them because, like Rabbi Yossi, that God pronounces a new judgment every day to heal somebody or to give somebody energy. So what's the point? Mida'ama ketzire. Since Rava said the word ketzire means a sick person, umeri'e is a synonym for a sick person, but it doesn't mean somebody who's sick. It means somebody who's always fatigued and loss of energy. Shma mina, ketzire, when you say sometimes is ketzire mamish, it means somebody who's sick. Meri'e, somebody who is fatigued, a general person who's exhausted and not in shape, that's Rabbanim. So the Rabbanim, as a way to counteract their sitting lifestyle, is they would eat gourds with their bread. And therefore, that's how it gets into our Gemara, that if someone makes a neder not to eat a hot dish, he's also to eat this hot gourd, that's eaten together with their bread, because the Rabbanim used to eat them as part of their diet. Okay, so that's what it says. By the way, I'll tell you that in Shemoneh Esrei you say Roifei Choilei Ama Yisrael, and when you go to the bathroom you say Roifei Chol Basar. God heals everybody, because in Shemoneh Esrei sometimes we're asking God to perform a miracle, and that is unique to the Ama Yisrael, to the Jewish people, because we stand out and sacrifice ourselves for God. We go above and beyond, so we could ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu to heal us and go above and beyond the rules of nature. That's why, generally, in Shemoneh Esrei, you can say, Roifei Choilei Ama Yisrael. Okay, we learned in the Mishnah, Umuter Ba'ava, that if a person says, I make a neder not to eat a hot dish, he's permitted to eat a dish that is totally thick, in other words, hard, and it's not eaten with bread. So what there is masnisen, our Mishnah is not like the Babylonians. Because sometimes they would eat this kutach, this kefer, even if it was hard, it's kefir is like it's usually liquidy, but it's also can be made hard. So our Mishnah doesn't go like the Babylonians. The Amar Rab Zera said, Bavloi tipshoi. The Babylonians are foolish. The achli lachmi, they eat regular bread, but lachma with bread. Because this kefir is fermented, it's like Greek yogurt, but it's better than Greek yogurt because it's also known as daisa, which is made with the grains and the yeast. It has a lot of good live bacteria. It's as live as the food you can get. So the Babylonians would eat it a lot with their bread. So even though it was thick sometimes, they would eat it with their bread. And therefore, Amish is like the Babylonians that would eat this kefir with their bread. Amar Rav Chizda asked, the mashal lahalain nakdoni dehoitzel. I would like to anybody ask these people from Hoitzel that have etiquette and how to eat this daisa. Daisa again is kefir, and they asked them what's the proper way to eat it, because Rabbi Chizda wanted to know if you eat it, what is the best way to eat it that you'll get the most nutritional benefits from it. Hadein daisa heichen ma'ale lemechla. What is the best way to eat it? I know I'm eating it with bread, but there are two ways to make the daisa. Either you're going to use barley grains with this fermented milk or something like that, or you're going to use wheat grains. So if you're going to use the chite, if it's made of wheat grains, so belachma the chite, then maybe you should eat it with bread made of wheat. Udesare, if it's made of barley grains, belachma de saare, then eat it with bread made of barley. Or dilma, or maybe you should do counteract it. Dilma de chite, if it's a wheat type of kefir, if that's in the ingredients, bedesare, use a barley bread. Udesare, if it's a barley type of kefir, bedechite, you should use wheat type of bread. Basically, Rav Chizda was promoting the importance of this food. Again, it's daisa. I think it's kefir or something like that. It's a very good probiotic, and it's good for the gut intestines where your immune system resides. And he wanted to know the best way to eat it with bread. What type of bread should I use with it? Rava achle bechasise. He would eat his kutach, his daisa, again, his kefir. He would eat it mix it with the flour of roasted barley. The flour made of roasted barley. I guess he put the flour with roasted barley with this kutach, with this kefir on top of a bread. Rabba Barafuna, Ashkechel Rav Huna. Rabba Barafuna found Rav Huna. I guess he's found his father. The ka'achol daisa be'etzbo eisa. He was eating this daisa, again, this kutach dish, this kefir dish, with his fingers. Now, is it polite to eat with your fingers? But Amalei, so he asked him, Rabba asked him, "My ka'achol marbidei. Why are you eating this kutach with your fingers?" Amalei, because Rav Huna said, Hachi Amarav. This is what Rav said. Rav said, Daisa be'etzbu'usa besim. Daisa is very good with your fingers, not just with one finger, like you just stick one finger. Use two fingers. Use three fingers. In other words, technically, the best way to eat it is with a spoon or something like that. But since Rav was his teacher, and Rav wanted to promote this food to his students, so he said, it's great to eat it with your fingers. It's so good. He said fingers, I'm going to eat it with the fingers. Sometimes the rabbi says something, he doesn't really mean it that way, but the students want to follow to the exact words of their rabbi out of respect. And therefore he ate this daisa, this dip, so to speak, with your fingers. Amalei Rav Chia Lebrei. Rav Chia said to his son, Amalei Rav Chia Berei. Rav said to Chia his son, V'chein Amalei Rav Huna Rabba Berei. Rav Huna told Rabba his son. Okay, so each one, the father is talking to their son. He gave them a message. If you're invited Lebechel Daisa to eat, if someone has Daisa, ad parsa. Then if someone invites you to eat this and he tells you he made kefer, this daisa food, then if he's a mile away, don't look at it as a bother to go to his house. Go to his house, even if it's a parsa away. But if he invites you, if he's inviting you to eat ox meat, ad plus in parson, go even 3 parson, because the iron to eat such healthy meat it's worth it to go 3 parson to for such a good meal. That's what one version of what he's trying to say. Others try to say is that when you eat ox meat, it lasts much longer than when you eat in your stomach. When you eat daisa, a daisa seems to be digested a lot faster, and you're going to get hungry again. Amalei Rav l'Rachia Brei. Rav, again, the father said to Chia, his son. V'chein Amalei Rav Huna l'Rabba Brei. Rav Huna said to Rabba, his son. Again, they're both teaching their children. Rav Huna seems to be a student of Rav. So whatever Rav taught his son, Rav Huna taught his own son Rabba. Kol mida'am, anything that you like tiflik kame rabka. If you have to spit up food, don't spit it out in front of your Rebbe. It's not respectful. Levar min kara. If you ate gourd and you don't digest it well. Apparently, some people can't digest it well, and it's in fact dangerous for a person to have that. The daisa, some people can't digest this daisa. Again, this kefer. It's like having a wick made out of lead in your stomach, which it'll never come out. So if you start to spit it out even in front of your Rebbe, because it's dangerous. Even in front of the Persian ruler, you spit it out because it's dangerous to keep that in your system if it's not meant for you. Says the Gemara, a cute little story. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda were eating together. And they had this daisa, again, this kutach, this kefer, right in front of them. And they were eating out of the bowl. So chad achal daisa be'etzbo ose. One was eating the daisa from the bowl, the shared bowl, with his finger. The chad achal behutza. And one guy ate it with like a chopstick. Amalei the achal behutza, the achal be'etzbo ose. The one that ate with the chopstick said to the one that's eating with his finger, ad mose ata machileni tzoi oscha. How long are you going to keep me eating your dirt? Because you're sticking your finger, and under your fingernails probably there's dirt, and you're sticking it back into the bowl with the daisa. Amalei. So the other person asked, but you're sticking your spoon back into so you're sticking the chopstick back into the daisa bowl. The guy that was eating with the finger said to the one that was eating with the finger said to the one that's eating with the chopstick, how long are you going to keep giving me to eat your spit? Says the Gemara a little bit more. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, they brought before them some like difficult to eat figs. Okay, they had these figs that were difficult to eat. Rabbi Yehuda ate it. Rabbi Shimon Rabbi Shimon didn't eat it. Amalei Rabbi Yehuda said, my time, why didn't you eat this figs? Even though it's not, it's a type of fig that's very difficult to digest. Amalei, Reb Shimon said, Reb Shimon, it never leaves my stomach, my intestines, and therefore it'll sit on me, and therefore I can't eat that. Amalei Rabbi Yehuda, who was poor, said, Kolshkein, that's a great food. You eat it and it lasts till tomorrow. You won't feel hungry. So again, it all depends on the person and his economic status. Rabbi Yehuda, who's very poor, was able to stomach foods that other people can't eat. That's what the Gemara is trying to tell you. And the Gemara is telling you, Rabbi Yehuda, who is very poor, Havi Yosef Kamei de Rab Tarfon. He learned, his teacher was Rab Tarfon. Rab Tarfon was very rich. You would think a poor wouldn't learn by somebody that's rich. You would think, he's arrogant. No. When it comes to Torah, money aside, you just look at what's inside of the person. So Rabbi Yehuda was sitting in front of Rab Tarfon. Amalei Rab Tarfon, so Rab Tarfon commented on a student, Hayoim panecha tzehubin. Today, your face looks like ruddy. It looks like you have a good complexion in your face. So Rabbi Yehuda said, Amalei Emesh, yesterday, while I was waiting for the learning, your servants went to their field. Rab Tarfon, again, was very wealthy. He owned a lot of plantations. And they brought before us they brought before us a little beets. So, so beets is very good for you because it has fiber, potassium, good for the heart, blood pressure, everything. So therefore, I'm looking ruddy. And I was eating these beets without salt. If I ate them with salt, my complexion would be even more better, more ruddier than that. Another story. This matriarch woman, Goyish aristocrat, said to Rabbi Yehuda, again, Rabbi Yehuda, they had conversations with women, and not only with women, but with women who had high positions in government. She said to Rabbi Yehuda, Meire beravi, you look like you're drunk. Amallah, he told her, Hemenisa bida dehi itzasa. Please, you should believe me, Miss Lady. I basically, he's like, committing to her that his alcohol intake is reserved for only a few times a year. I only drink by Kiddush and Abdallah, and I only drink the 4 cups of wine on Pesach. And when I drink those 4 cups of wine, and I have a migraine headache, my temples are banging. That says from Pesach to Shavuos. I don't know what program he was on, but you see that he's not eating. He didn't eat. He didn't drink. He didn't drink at all. So Ella. So what makes my face look so robust and ruddy? Chachmas Adon Torah Panav. I learned Torah, and my Torah lightens the face. When you have something, a brain power, and it shines out of your face. Beautiful Gemara. Amalei, one more thing. Amalei, Ahu Mina Rabbi Yehuda. This Christian said to Rabbi Yehuda, Panecha doimim ikamal ve'ribis ikibegadle chazirim. Your face looks like somebody who has a very easy income. He either owns a casino, or he lends people. He's a hard money lender, or he raises pigs, which is also considered to be very lucrative businesses, which you don't have to work so hard, and everything is going well for you. Then again, Rabbi Yehuda is poor and he doesn't eat well, and yet he had his face looked like a picture, like the epitome of somebody who is very healthy. Amalei. So what's your secret to your good looks? Amalei. So Rabbi Yehuda said, "Biyudai Tarvaya Asira." A Jew can't be a hard money lender and can't raise pigs. Ella, what's my secret? Esrim ba'aboa beisakise islim in beisad beis midrasha. There are 24 bathrooms from the beis medrash, from my house to the beis medrash. And every hour I go into each one of these bathrooms. In other words, I never let myself hold it in. And because of that, I go to the bathroom often. That's why it affects the complexion of my face. So it has nothing to do with what he ate. One more piece, and then we'll stop. Rabbi Yehuda, again, Kad Azal Lebei Medrash. The great Rabbi Yehuda, when he would come to the base Medrash, Shaka Gulfa al Kaspe. He would carry a pitcher on his shoulder. Now, why would he carry this pitcher? Because there was nowhere to sit. So it was like carrying a milk crate, like on Tisha B'Av. He carried this pitcher on his shoulder. Amar, he said, Gedola Malacha, it's good to work. Shemechabedes es ba'aleha. That brings honor. It brings honor. It will bring honor to those that own it. In other words, those that work, it brings honor to see somebody work. Rav Shimon, when he would come to the shul, he would take sana al kaspe, a pitcher on his shoulder. He wasn't shy to work, even though Talmud Chacham should not work in front of people, but certain things they should do. They shouldn't be so royal. They take a chair or they take a pitcher for themselves to the shul, so they'll sit on the basket. So he took a basket on his shoulder. Amar, he said, Gedola Malacha, it's good to work. Shemechabed, this is Ba'ala, brings honor to the ones that own it. So like it says, like the famous saying, if you chop wood, chop your own wood, it warms you twice. So that's the idea of this Gemara. Okay, we'll continue with other stories about these great Tanoim and Rabbi Akiva and all that. It's a very nice Gemaras that we're learning. Okay.
I've never heard the saying of chopping wood, but